It's got a video. I have fully addressed all of the claims made by the St. Louis Chess Club in their letter, addressed their private letter to me, and given context to my history with the club. Let's make one detail absolutely clear. I received 0 invitations to St. Louis events before I regrettably caused damage to my hotel room. As outlined, they ignored multiple emails, calls, and texts before this incident. Additionally, there have been misconceptions about the damage done. I discuss this all in the video and would like to clarify that I've paid the fine in full, incessantly apologized, and was supposed to be reinstated by the hotel. Again, we should focus on why they refused to pick up my calls and discuss things openly and honestly, not their excuses that don't explain their treatment of me from January 2023 to October 2023. As I reiterated many times in this video, I tried so many times to speak privately and handle the situation, but all of my attempts were ignored. I hope that you watch the entire video to fully understand their motives for blacklisting me. More details to come. Let's make sure the truth prevails and that bullies are held accountable. So, I'm just a reporter here. I think it's only fair to watch the video, which I haven't seen at all, and hear what Hans has to say. Hans versus the St. Louis Chess Club.
Hello, everyone. This is going to be a full video to address the letter that has been released by St. Louis Chess Club. This letter is absolutely ridiculous, and I'm in complete disbelief. First, we're going to be going through the timeline and discussing in detail my relationship with the St. Louis Chess Club. Uh,
Like, we have a few questions, right? Before we watch the video, it's like, why did St. Louis release the video? The statement first, preemptively. Usually there'd be a reason there. It just doesn't make sense for an established organization to do that. 2, will Hans address what he did private property? Those are 2 of the main ones. And then 3, curious about the private communications, rude comments, etc., because it's vague right now.
over the past year, but first, we're going to read the letter and to discuss this. So, the St. Louis Chess Club is committed to providing GM Hans and Neiman lightly. So, let's first address this third paragraph. Neiman's demonstrated inappropriate behavior. And while I read this, I'm also going to read the private letter they sent. So when they refer to demonstrated inappropriate behavior, in an email to me, they wrote that I made rude comments. Rude. I don't really know what they mean by rude comments. Um, I was never brought up to me that I made rude comments. It's seems like a very weird excuse. And
I mean, yeah, I'd be surprised if there's been no correspondence regarding that aspect. I mean, maybe St. Louis will publish something about it. It's pretty easy to make rude comments. At the same time, I'm not a big stickler to that. Um, it really depends on the context. If you asked me, I would be totally fine with people trash talking at chess tournaments. That's I'm so I it really depends on the context. You're making rude comments to the people running the event. Just like in sports, don't go for the referees and the organizers. If it's player on player, I mean, if you asked me, I'd like allow a lot of things. However, I'm not in charge, but I'd like to hear more.
so they also said my recent, and I'll read the first paragraph, of their specific email to me. They say your recent behavior has caused the St. Louis Chess Club to reevaluate your participation in.
How do we know that the rude comments weren't just a little autism? Shouldn't the St. Louis Chess Club be experienced with that? I think I think I mean there's a lot of autism in chess, but it's not on the onus of I don't think it's really on the onus of the chess clubs to be fully accommodating of that if it has like a negative slant. So I don't think that would be if you could use that as an excuse, then you'd have like a bunch of chess players kind of doing whatever they wanted. I mean, you have to learn and work towards behavior. I mean, you just have to learn how to deal with it a little bit. Otherwise, yeah, you're not necessarily ready for the spotlight. But I don't know. I can't confirm. I don't know anything about that stuff, about the specific rude comments.
Our events. You have demonstrated a troubling pattern of highly inappropriate behavior, including damaging private property, rude comments, and an uncooperative attitude. So let's first address this. So when they say highly inappropriate behavior, I don't know what implication they might have behind this. I have no idea what they're talking about. This supposed highly inappropriate behavior, including the rude comments, is completely news to me. Now, I will address, of course.
There is a bit of a pattern where Hans tends to act surprised or outraged, and if you're trying to be a reasonable observer, trying to be neutral, you kind of expect that it's probably somewhere in between if you're trying to not take any sides. But sometimes he kind of acts really shocked, as if it like comes from nowhere. That is surprising to me. First some sort of denial, then it's like, oh, I actually just did a little bit of, but like, outrage is, I mean, hard. Yeah, I mean, just based on the past, it's hard to take the outrage very seriously.
The damage to private property. So this is something that's very important to address. So during a stay at the Chase Hotel at the U.S. Championship, there was an incident, and after a very difficult tournament and difficult games, I damaged a few things in the hotel room. Now, the damage that was done was I can give some details. There is an incident report, but the long story short is that I apologized. I paid a fine, and no damage. No one was harmed. It was simply some
Well,
remotes and
no one
stuff
was
were
harmed. Yeah.
damaged, and some other things were damaged as well. The details don't matter. Of course, I'm very apologetic for the damage done to the hotel room, and of course, it was a mistake and something that in the heat of the moment after a difficult chess game, I sincerely apologize for. Um, but the truth is that this reason for my damage to the hotel has absolutely nothing to do with why I've been blacklisted. Now,
I mean, we have to just pause it there, Hans. We have to talk about what you just said and just absorb that. Damaging the private property. Okay, I mean, it just sounds like you really trashed the hotel room. Kind of playing it like said nobody was harmed. You can read the incident report. I mean, sounds like the St. Louis Chess Club when they put that part, it's rooted in truth, and then he's just trying to take the opportunity to frame it in a way that's digestible for people from the outside. Um, Me personally, if somebody trashes a hotel room, I don't think that's a horrific crime or anything like that. Pay the fine, maybe banned from the hotel. But as I said in the previous video, if you're expecting to get invitations in chess, that's just not the way to do it. I mean, it's just not the way to do it. And in tennis, at least, some famous players, John McEnroe, or these days, Nick Kyrgios, you're kind of smashing your own racket. People still don't like it, but it's your own stuff. But it's not like the worst crime to me. But I don't like that when he first reacted to the St. Louis letter, he said it was like, false or whatever, not true. And he didn't respond to the private property comment in that here he is and clearly damaging private property was done, maybe even more than that, for there to be a serious incident report or a permanent ban from the hotel.
at this point, I'd like to provide context.
Like, don't say, oh, it's heat in the moment, stuff like that. People don't need to hear that. Say you trashed a hotel room, you're really pissed off about the chess result.
To why this is not the real reason. So we have to now go back to the fall of 2022. So after the Singfield Cup, I play.
The problem with Hans is, in these situations, is he does things that hurt his case. He might have a case about some of his points, but he's hurting himself every step of the way. He's giving material. He's not like an innocent actor in the whole thing. There's ways to prevent some of the things he's doing, and then he has a much stronger case. He didn't trash his hotel room, then the whole thing would sound very vague from the St. Louis Chess Club. It's just the problem is just giving all this material, and yeah, like that's on him.
In the Fall Chess Classic and the U.S. Championship.
It ruins his points, is what I'm saying. He might have points. I'm not saying they're not there.
Invitations that were already secured before. However, in January 2023, everything changed. Now I'd like to detail different emails in times that I reached out to Tony Rich and Joy Bray, who are the manager of the club, and the times that they ignored me. Because while they might say now and might invent this inappropriate behavior and use the hotel as damage, another thing I should say about the hotel is that I was actually going to be unbanned by the hotel. The hotel, I had reached out to the hotel. I had incessantly apologized. I paid a very large fine, very graciously. Um,
What kind of comment is that? What? I paid a very large fine very graciously. What? Gracious. Okay, okay. I paid bail very graciously. Uh, that's a funny one. I no, I mean, there wasn't nothing gracious about that. You paid a fine because you were fined. It's better to pay the hotel the fine. A, you owe them. B, you don't want the police to get involved, presumably, and just have a whole damage assessment and things like that. Like what that comment is a bit like you can tell there's a kid in there.
and I had gotten in touch with the hotel, and they had told me on the phone, and I quote, the guest relations told me, there's a 99% chance that I will unban you from the hotel, and I'll approve your request. And he said that he will give me official confirmation the next day. Now, when someone says to you that there's a 99% chance that they're going to accept your apology and understand that as a 20-year-old kid going through difficult times in a difficult game, that it's possible in the heat of the moment to make a mistake and lash out. But I've incessantly apologized for this. And point is, this has nothing to do with them, with them blacklisting me. So instead of them unbanning me from the hotel, I would ask St. Louis, when they were about to unban me, did you have any conversations with the hotel? Because after the hotel told me that it was a 99% chance, and I quote 99% chance, this is direct quote, that I'd be unbanned, what would cause them to have such a change of heart? Who could have
We can
influenced
only speculate.
to have a change of heart to keep me banned from the hotel? So now I'm trying to understand why I something like that would change so drastically, and whose interest it would be to have an excuse. So now let's go through the details. So
Oh wow.
on January 2nd, I sent an email to Tony Rich. It was ignored. On January 22nd, I sent another email and it was ignored. I sent a third email to Tony Rich. This is 2023, by the way. February 5th, asked about the Classic, no response. Then again, I sent. So then the tournaments had passed. I was not going to be invited to the American Cup or the Spring Chess Classic. So then later on, when the Summer Chess Classic was approaching, June 18th, email to Tony Rich and Caleb Demi ignored. June 20th, I emailed Tony Rich and Caleb Denley. Tony replied on the 21st, saying that he'll be in touch with me soon and that he was busy. He never replied to me. After 3 consecutive emails, only then did Caleb Denley reply, telling me that there was no spot for me to play. And the funniest thing about this Summer Chess Classic is that they were so desperate to find players to play the Summer Chess Classic that they posted on Instagram searching for an emergency player, while me, the American player, significantly higher rated in the tournament, was begging to play. They could have solved that problem very quickly. So then I'll go through text message. On January 8th, text message to Tony Rich, ignored. January 10th, text message to Tony Rich, ignored. January 5th, text message to Joy Gray, ignored. January 8th, text message, ignored. January 10th.
I think there needs to be some context from Hans as to how things ended when he was last at the chess club. Sounds like he's expecting these emails to be replied. Normally they do reply to the emails, but the Sinkfeld Cup happened in August 2022. How like Rex spoke positively about Hans public like in interviews as the main guy behind the chess club. So just what was his personal relationship with these people before these emails were sent? The things and like were there rude comments? Or is he gonna like? Was he just always on good terms with them? And then the cheating scandal happened, and then they stopped responding. Like there should be some context provided for kind of the lead up to these emails being sent. Because if the relationship was already in a bad state beforehand, it's not necessarily you're being blacklisted. Just people don't want to work with you. I mean, you kind of just earn that situation where. So I'm just curious.
Left a voicemail, ignored. Um,
If none of that happened,
the years,
yeah, it
okay? I'm pretty
sucks
sure.
when you don't
Anyways,
get an email, even if they don't want to invite you. It's nice to get a response instead of being ignored, you know. But I'm really curious about what happened before then.
the point is that I sent them so many emails, sent them so many calls, and they ignored me. And back in 2023, they had absolutely no excuse to, first of all, not respond to my emails. Second of all, to invite me to tournaments. And you would think that they would have the common decency to reply. So then,
Well, we shouldn't throw out
finally,
the word common
in
decency too
August,
much, Mr. Neiman.
I was able to get in contact, and I got no reply. So finally, before in August, before the U.S. Championship, I reached out to Joy Bray, and I had told her that
Okay, this is good.
there had been some lapses in communication with the club. I was disappointed that I wasn't being invited, and I addressed the issues. And on the phone, we got on the phone with Joy and Tony, and I was explaining to them and asking them why they didn't respond to my emails, why they didn't invite me to any tournaments. And Tony Rich's exact words to me were, "Well, responding to your emails wasn't really the first thing on my mind." And they were making all these excuses, saying, "Oh, we didn't invite you because of this or that," and saying, "Oh, I was busy, I forgot, and it wasn't my priority." And then when I asked you about some certain tournaments, they said, "Well, these are private tournaments. We don't have to invite you." But you would think that an American organization that at one point thought that I was worthy of a wild card to the Singfield Cup would think that they should at least reply to an email. It just shows such a level of disrespect, and it's inexplicable. So finally, on this call, I was assured, and I quote, by Tony Rich, they said, "You are not blacklisted by the club. Everything is okay. You are not blacklisted. Next year, we will invite you to tournaments. We'll let you know. We'll let you to tournaments." Now, of course, this unfortunate incident at the U.S. Championship happens. I'm very sorry for this. This is, of course, a mistake. But let's not forget another player who caused some other serious damages to tournaments and also, violated contracts and who wasn't punished the same way. So I find it quite ironic that me, every little mistake I make, which I do admit is a mistake, and I've apologized for, and I've paid the fine, and I've done everything I can to rectify the situation, I'm being treated.
I mean, I don't think these angry video responses are gonna do it. I think even if you are a hand supporter watching this, it's like you're not the world against me kind of attitude when tournaments are invitational, and then comparing yourself to Magnus, and you could make the case that he's making about Magnus violating tournament conduct, stuff like that. But a world champion with a 20-year track record is going to have more privilege than you when it comes to private tournaments. Chess is mainly private tournaments, invitational. Yeah, like that's been earned. There's merit there. It's not some totally equal playing field in chess. Otherwise, we'd all get invited, and like it's no, like so. But yeah, you can. If he's referencing Magnus, I mean that's you haven't, especially with what like the persona you're trying to give off. It's not the same.
Like every single little thing I can do is a reason, for punishment. So, um, to continue with this, I would like to go on 2024. So they assured this was everything would be okay, and
Okay, everyone, it's time to drop the facts. On September 5th, I sent an email to chessbrah. It was ignored. On November 5th, I sent an email to Eric, ignored. On January 5th, I sent a voicemail to Eric. It was blatantly ignored. Finally, I reached out to Lethbridge Chess on Tinder with feet pics after we had a 99% match, and that was also inevitably ignored. This is terrible treatment. Don't support these guys. Indeed, some freshly cooked pasta right here. Good stuff. Oh, Planet Chess Club, you're right. I haven't been doing any teaching, but you're right about Planet Chess Club.
again, back to the letter, they said to me that I did not fulfill contractual obligations. So, to read this, they said that they're trying to say that I didn't fulfill contractual obligations. So let's give context to this. So, first of all, let's make it clear. I think that I think that if they want to say that because I denied one interview that I violated contractual obligations, I would like them to make a list of every single time a chess player at any tournament has ever denied an interview because of them being emotional, and then them, putting a force majeure on a contract. This is ridiculous. I did so many interviews during this tournament, and if you look at the views of the interviews,
I mean, this is just lack of awareness. I even defended this point in the previous video. Other players have missed interviews. That's not why you're being blacklisted. It's a combination of everything. There's a lot of characters that I guess are risk-free. Every player's maybe missed an interview or has a bad day and they just decide not to do it. It's happened with a lot of players, but not everybody's trashed the hotel room and the rude comments. We need more info on that, but it's not just one allegation. It's a combination combined with the fact that you're not entitled to invitations. You're not even blacklisted. You're just lower in somebody's invite list.
Great interviews. I was very talkative to them. I was very nice to them. And I promoted the tournament heavily by giving them interviews. And one day,
So you
after
got to
a
stop
6-hour
making
game,
these
after being
points
so
because they're not good
fatigued,
points.
I said, "I'm sorry. I don't want to give an interview."
That's fine.
I would hope that you are not conflating, them understanding that after a draw, not a win, a draw, that I'm really not in the mood to do an interview.
So Hans has this perspective that they put that in the letter because they're against him. Like they're using that one incident to kind of paint a whole picture of him being a bad guy. Um, so he's gonna drill this point pretty hard. I don't think missing an interview is the end of the world, and I don't think too many organizers would defend that, especially if you've done interviews every other day. But contractually,
I'd be happy
they're
to
not
discuss the
wrong.
game in a future interview. I hope that they are not conflating something like this to a serious thing, like not fulfilling contractual obligations. Now, another thing in their letter that they've included was that I would like to. That is honestly the most ridiculous part of the letter. So, third, your refusal to provide interviews, false. I declined one interview. As stipulated in the contract, reflects a lack of professionalism and cooperation. Well, I would say that not responding to my emails for over a year, and posting a letter so brashy is also quite unprofessional. Then they say, moreover, your constant failure to answer phone calls. Let me get some water. I'm so sorry, guys. This is just ridiculous.
But what's the point of this video? Is it trying to get invites? What's
Moreover,
going on?
your constant failure to answer phone calls and respond to messages from senior staff members demonstrates a disregard for essential communication protocols within.
Let me play that last part back.
They say, moreover, your constant failure to answer phone calls and respond to messages from senior staff members demonstrates a disregard for essential communication protocols within. I'm sorry. I cannot watch this seriously. I'm trying to be calm, but I have just outlined like dozens of instances where my calls, emails are ignored, and they're telling me in a letter that I ignored a call. I've always been so eager to contact them because I would love the opportunity to compete in their tournament. So this reason and this is absolutely insane. And
I mean, is Hans saying they made that up? Is it possible that during the tournament he wasn't available via phone or email? Like he was trashing his hotel room. They were calling him about it. He wasn't answering. Is that a possibility? Like, I think Hans could make a better case in his videos if he tries to not just like, totally negate all the points and not even like give off the impression that the other side is rooted in truth or where they're coming from and that they're like, in the lot, like, what, are they just making that point up entirely? Did any staff members contact you? It's just totally made up? Like he's comparing it now when he's phoning the club. The contract is for during the tournament. So when you compare, oh, I've tried to contact the chess club, phone and email them, that's just day-to-day communication where nobody owes anything. During a tournament, you sign a contract, you do have to be available for some things. That's during a specific period. So you could just have to address that. Did they just make that up? I'm curious.
We can go through the emails, again, I don't want to show any private communication, but I assure you that if you look
just
at all
don't be
the
so
details,
emotional.
all the times you just blatantly ignored me, and I haven't even gotten to all of them. So let's discuss 2024 and all the emails they've ignored, and also let's make this clear. I love that what the St. Louis Chess Club has done for chess. I'm eternally grateful for Rex and Jeannie Sinkfield's support for chess.
Like, do you think there's a possibility they try to contact Hans after the room was trashed or during it or when people in the hotel heard it happening? Because usually you do hear it. I mean, is he going to, like, it sounds like it probably happened. How did those Comms go.
This is not targeted at Rex and Genie. They are absolutely amazing supporters of chess. This is targeted, and unfortunately, at the St. Louis, management, which is completely incompetent and is trying to ruin my career.
Incompetent.
So let's discuss all the times where I tried to stop this from going public and tried to resolve this publicly. So on January 5th, I said
He's not helping himself out there. Rex and Genie appoint the management and are very close with them. So you're not trying to say Rex and Genie are good and management is bad. I mean, Tony and Joy have been running the club since the inception, and Rex and Genie, you know, are very happy with that. So it's not going to help.
sent a formal apology to the St. Louis Chess Club, apologizing for the incident at the hotel. And in addition to that, I was apologizing to the hotel directly. And shortly after, I got in contact with the hotel, got in contact with the manager of guest relations, which, as I mentioned, told me that there was a 99% chance that I would be reinstated. Again, they didn't reply to this. So I would like St. Louis to answer, did you speak to them? Did you have any influence in me remaining banned in the hotel? So then, okay, so this is 2024. So yes, this is good. So this is 20. So on January 10th, in 2024, I called Tony and Joy. I was ignored. On January 23rd, I called Tony and Joy. I was ignored. On January 24th, I called Tony and Joy. I was ignored. Last Tuesday, I called Tony and Joy, and I was ignored.
What?
Right before they posted the public letter, maybe 5 minutes before, I was publicly ignored.
Why are we back to this
I
again?
sent text messages on
We need context
January
on how
8th
the existing
and 10th.
relationship is really like.
January 8th, Tony Richard was ignored. 10th was ignored. Then I sent more text messages on the 5th, 8th, and 10th. I even left a voicemail on the 10th. Joy. So I think I mixed up the dates. Sorry. Again, this is 2024.
Did
But
you
2023,
did you mend
it
things
was
after the hotel
2nd,
room
22nd,
incident?
and 5th were emails I sent. But again, perhaps the dates are confusing. I think it's painting a pretty clear picture that I've been trying to resolve this. I've been trying to get in contact, and my impression until this moment was that, of course, they're blacklisting me because they want to appease other people who they want to participate in their tournaments. So there's been some players missing from the Grand Chess Tour. So I would like to understand why, as I at one point was apparently such a talented chess player, where they gave me a wildcard invitation to the Singapore Cup, and suddenly their respect and
I mean, look, Hans. Most people aren't denying your talent, and people want to see players play. The reason you're not getting invited isn't because of the quality of your chess. You can't stop bringing that up. You've done other things like that's, So I don't know. I don't know what to say there.
and support for me has completely disappeared, despite Rex Singfield's
That's
comments publicly supporting me. So it's very confusing to me when the
Very
man
confusing.
is acting differently from certain public things they say. So as you can see, I've sent multiple letters, and now I'd like to read other emails that I recently sent an email trying to resolve the situation.
I mean, he keeps repeating like specific instances of a text or email not being responded to. The relationship's already been severed. If Hans has made rude comments to maybe staff, we don't know, but that rude comment part was added. He's trashed the hotel room. Their relationship is clearly not okay. Just keep like adding on these comments about every instance they didn't respond to. Like it's like an X or something. Like they're not owing you that. Like what's going on? If things didn't end on a good note, on a high note, and some things don't get fixed by email or a phone call. They get fixed in person. Sometimes you gotta fly there in person or try to get a meeting. Or they don't. They can even accept your apology, but that doesn't mean they want to work with you or they don't want to work with you over other eligible people. Like not everything is owed here. That's just some
So I sent an email
entitlement I don't understand.
on January 31st, which was the first time they replied to me in all of January. I said, "Greetings, Tony and Joy. It seems that in the past month, all of my attempts to get in contact have been ignored. Multiple emails, calls, texts, and even a call to the club directly. I was in contact with the hotel, and the manager told me on the phone that there's a 99% chance that I will fulfill your request for your return to the hotel. and I'll give you official confirmation via email tomorrow. A couple of days passed, and I was unable to get in contact, and eventually I was told the request was denied. This was very surprising, as returning to the hotel would be a great way to put this unfortunate incident behind me. I'm still in contact with the hotel, and will do whatever I can to rectify the situation. Since I am unable to get in contact after multiple attempts, I plan to post a public letter as an attempt to open dialogue between me and the club. I intend on posting this on Friday at noon each time. If I do not receive a response by then, I'll post a letter. I hope that we can find a resolution. Kind regards, Hans.
There we go. Now we know why the St. Louis Chess Club posted a statement. Everyone's like, why would an established club do that? Doesn't that feel like they're throwing mud? Hans said he was going to take it public. So that answers one of the first questions of the previous video. He's saying he's going to take it public. They're blackmailing him, treating him poorly. He probably comes off a bit crazy from the chess club's perspective that he's emailing. If they have the perspective that this relationship is pretty much severed or it's not in a good state. So yeah, now we know why St. Louis published the statement they did. Now Hans is going back on the offensive, but they wanted to put something out so that they weren't just getting thrashed in public by the army.
So this was me trying to reach out to them after a month of no contact, not even a simple reply, and this behavior, of course, continuing from last year. They reply to me saying, "Dear Hans, thank you for reaching out. I want to confirm that your email has been received and is being given due consideration. The issues you've raised are significant, and the club is carefully deliberating its response. Please be assured that we understand the importance of this matter. We're committed to handling it appropriately in a timely manner. I expect to have more detailed information to share with you in the coming days, likely in the next week. We appreciate your patience as we respond." So nothing in this sort of email seems like they're gonna ban me from events. It seemed like a very just
Yeah,
no.
dude, they caught Hans by surprise. He was probably excited when he got that email. Yeah, that's kind of. He was probably excited by that email. It sounded like they were working on a resolution. So again, that gives me the indication that there's a total lack of awareness from Hans about his existing relationship with the chess club. He thinks they owe him something. He reads that email. He thinks they're sorry, most likely, and they're going to work on a resolution. Meanwhile, they're quite unhappy with him, and that resolution that they're working on is to ban him. So I understand why he's shocked. He's threatening to go public. They send that email. He thinks they're working on making things right. Hello, Mapril. Yes, we are. So, I mean,
Don't want me to post a letter, so they can post a letter themselves, getting ahead of me.
basically, Manor Monkey says, basically, he tried to extort them into saying they'll invite him to events with the threat of going public. Then they did it first. 5D chess, Kappa. Some would say that, Manor Monkey.
And trying to paint pictures. So I respond to them saying, "This is." Then I saying, "Okay." I say, "Dear Tony, I appreciate your response, and I would like to address a few issues that I want to discuss as soon as possible." So, okay, it's a very long email. I'm not going to read it all, but the gist of it is that I discuss, for example, how the American Cup is coming up in March, and they invited Grigory Aparin and Sam Shankland
Oh, yeah. So Hans now is trying to get an invite because he thinks they're working on solutions. That's interesting.
to this event, who are both lower rated than me, and I have not been invited to the American Cup for the past 3 years, and
Why
I would
haven't you
assume
been
that
invited? Why do you
considering my
think?
rating, considering my recent success, not in Croatia, and my perseverance through this difficult period, that I would be invited. But not just invited, they would even respond to my email to tell me if I'm not invited. So I was discussing how I was upset by this, and I was discussing how I received no invitations to events, while other players with lower ratings and much older than me, like Sam Seven and Jeffrey Zhang, got many invitations. Ray Robson, all these guys get every invitation in the world, but I can't even get a response to an email.
Have any of those guys had issues with the chess club? Since this is an invitational tournament? What? Think about what the difference between you and them is and reflect.
So I was discussing this, and I said to them, for example, I believe I must address these issues openly and honestly. Again, in this email, I will post the full thing later, but I want to conserve time. I tried so many times to handle this privately to find a positive solution. I really, really do not want to disparage the club. But after they've posted this letter without any warning that is blatantly false, I have no choice but to discuss the truth and make everything public. This is, again, not my attention.
Blatantly
I have so much
false.
respect for the St. Louis Chess Club. I'm eternally grateful for everything you've done, but this. I have to do this. So again, I hope that they would, reply to me. They didn't reply to me. Then today, I sent them an email at 4. I said I'd like to check in again. To reiterate, I'm very eager to get on a call to discuss this as soon as possible. Considering that there hasn't been any progress since the beginning of 2023, I don't want to get bogged down by forwarding emails and prefer to discuss everything openly and honestly on the phone or Zoom. As I mentioned in my first letter, I intend to post a public letter at noon Eastern. I can give you until the end of the workday, 6 p.m. Eastern, to give me a call to properly address everything and open a dialogue moving forward. Considering that my efforts in numerous attempts to resolve this issue since January of 2023 have not been successful, I believe this is the only way to move forward.
People say that I speak too slowly. I don't speak as quickly, speak as fast as the Americans like Hans and Hickey. But this is actually on 1x speed. So you're getting it 1x. This is very impressive by Hans.
I'm happy to move around your schedule and speak whenever you're available. Kind regards, Hans. So I was trying everything just to speak to them. I don't want this to be public fodder, and drama. I don't want
And
drama.
this is
I
not
want to
sped
play
up.
chess at the highest level,
This is
and I want to be
incredible.
given the opportunities that I deserve. So, I'm sorry, but I have to discuss this truth. So, um, again, it's really sort of unfortunate for me that I've had to do this. I didn't want to do this. But I hope that you can see the narrative of how they've, number one, completely ignored all of my emails. They haven't invited me to a single tournament that they weren't absolutely forced to. They've included in their private letter to me that I'm the one who is not communicating with them, and that's a reason for banning me. When I literally showed like a year of like ignored emails, texts, calls, like it's
You haven't literally showed anything. You could post receipts. That's normally what people do. But there's probably receipts of some other things included in that. That would show the full context. You want to say literally showed, show the receipts.
it's absolutely mind-boggling that this can be used as an answer, and it's very, very unfortunate that they've taken this decision, because their goal is to grow American chess. I'm an American-born chess player. I was born and raised in this country. I've given everything to chess, and I've worked so hard. And all I'm asking is to be treated like any other chess player, and to be given the opportunities that I deserve, and that people with significantly lower ratings than me get easily. Um, so again, I hope that you guys understand that this is the truth, and again, if there's any things I need to highlight more or there are updates, of course I will discuss them. But you know, it's very, very sad for me that as an American chess player, I don't
Now,
feel
now he's
welcomed.
trying
I
to
don't feel
pull in this
supported, and I don't
America
feel
stuff.
supported in any part of the chess world. I feel
This is
ostracized and
some
attacked and
crazy,
blacklisted, and
crazy
it's very
entitlement.
unfortunate. And I don't victimize myself. I never look at myself as a victim because I'm not a victim. You're only a victim if you let yourself be a victim. And I'm not going to let these attacks ruin my career. I will continue persevering and doing everything I can. Um,
Was that an Andrew
there might
Tate
be things
quote
I've
or
forgotten.
something?
I did not, I have some. I didn't have like a script I'm reading off. I have some things I wanted to talk about, but there could be updates. Again, this is an unscripted sort of just call that I need to call video to get everything out there, and there will be updates too soon. So I hope you guys watch this entire video, understand the full context, and I hope that going forward we can address injustices and highlight large chess organizations who are abusing their power. Um, and I hope you all have a great day, and hopefully.
Okay. Oh, that's my first. Yeah, that was raw. First time watching it. It's just not a good look. I can understand a lot of people say, "Hey, I'm a fan of Hans. I thought he was mistreated during the Magnus stuff." He got a lot of fans from that, and you can see some certain angles where if you can't prove the allegations, that like this person's being treated badly. But there's probably some Hans viewers in the chat. This doesn't look like a good look to me. Do you agree? Like what's going on here? He's rambling. He's talking way too fast. Just doesn't make much sense, really. The points. It's not blatantly false. There's not some sort of big chess organizations trying to keep him out. Like this has much less merit if you're in the Hans camp than previous things. It just makes you look worse. Like you didn't show the receipts. You didn't really try to make efforts to show the other perspective, which actually helps validate your arguments and make you seem more balanced. It just You can be a fan of Hans or like his chess or felt bad for him from the previous stuff for sure, but this is not doing him any favors. Like, why would you've already done enough to not be invited back if they so choose, right? You're not entitled to that. This I don't know this American-born FIDE rating entitlement, but I'm ready to take on like view the chat and see what they think because that's not a good look. There's a couple other tweets I think that he posted. Um, but this clearly wasn't resolved in private properly, and that takes two to tango. But like, if he says he wants to show everything, show the receipts, emails, and what happened in the hotel room. Like, they already have enough to not invite you, so you can't really just throw out this whole crusade speech where everyone's against you when you've already done enough to like at least you can. Some people are like maybe like, oh, I don't agree with the St. Louis Chess Club. They shouldn't ban him, blah blah blah. He's just not invited to their tournaments, but nobody's entitled to tournament invitations. And I don't see how that's not a reasonable perspective. You can make the perspective, and I made this in the last video, that it should be like everybody can play tournaments, blah blah blah. Like there should be no invitationals. Like let everyone play, but that's not the structure. They don't have the money for that in chess. We're just not there right now. I don't mind there being different characters. I don't mind there being heels. I don't mind Colby Covington. I've rooted for him in a lot of UFC fights. Don't mind whoever, McGregor, whoever it could be, some of the characters in fighting sports. But that's a totally different business model. Point is, one company has too much power, says Beam Me Up Snotty. What company has too much power? Usually people say chess.com does. Now you're saying the St. Louis Chess Club has too much power? Well, they host like 4 or 5 top level events per year, which is a fair amount in chess. But they invite a wide range of players, and they've invited Hans before. And there's just not that much money in chess. So yeah, they do a lot. Just don't piss them off. Like they have too much power over their own club that they privately finance, not public money. Like what does that mean? If you're putting your own money in, why can't you invite who you want? Hans should take Canadian citizenship. You think there's money in chess in Canada? That's why I'm making chess drama videos on a Monday afternoon. We don't get paid for anything. We don't have tournaments. He would I don't know what he's going to be doing in Canada. In fact, you know what? That would be entertaining for me. I'd love to see him start addressing videos to Justin Trudeau, asking for chess sponsorship. That's maybe a genius idea. Trudeau and Hans would be something hilarious to me. Actually, I'd be yeah. That's a good idea. But seriously, yeah, the videos don't look good. Just too much rambling, and the points aren't very strong. And then if we see what else did he post? All right, so I'm just trying to update everyone on the timeline. As far as I know, St. Louis hasn't posted anything else. And I want to hear Hans's perspective. I think the main point where I said, well, if you miss an interview, I don't think you should get docked for that. So I've defended that point, but that's clearly not the main point. It's a accumulation of things that have hurt his relationship with the chess club. It's not because you missed an interview, because I agree. And rude comments, I don't know what that means. Maybe somebody will show receipts. Hans Niemann says, it's funny to see employees of chess.com push this narrative. No mirrors, tiles, or marble tables were damaged. I was told by the manager of guest relations at the Chase Park Plaza that there was a 99% chance that I would be allowed back and that official confirmation would be sent via email the next day. Surprisingly, 3 days later, my request was denied and they haven't replied to me since. I did break TV remotes, a lamp, an ironing board. Additionally, the glass frame of a painting was shattered. which according to the hotel pierced the couch and caused damage. As I've apologized many times to the club and hotel, I thought I could put this behind me. But let's not forget that I received 0 invitations from the St. Louis Chess Club before this incident. They are trying to make this about my supposed pattern of behavior when this is just their attempt at covering how they have not invited me to a single tournament in all of 2023 and won't in 2024. And I think he's tweeting at Mr. Dodgy. What is this Reddit comment? It is well known privately that Hans totally destroyed a room in the Chase Park Plaza Hotel in St. Louis during the US Championships after losing 2 in a row and trapping his queen against Robson. That was like the queen on A3 or something. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Causing thousands of dollars in damages in a room on the 6th floor. I believe the damage he caused was deducted off his prize money. He destroyed mirrors, tiles, the marble table, etc. He is banned for life from ever stepping foot in the Chase Park Hotel ever again. St. Louis does not want to talk about it publicly for good reasons, but pretty much every staff member and players in St. Louis know about this. Also, the staff in the Chase Hotel knows about it too. I didn't even know he broke chairs in Mexico. I wouldn't be surprised if he damaged other rooms in other hotels as well. P.S. I live in St. Louis and it is well known here. Okay. So here he's just combating Mr. Dodgy on Twitter. Unfortunately, people don't seem to have the patience to watch the entire 21-minute video. I have. I did all of it. I want to hear all perspectives. To summarize, for the entirety of 2023, St. Louis ignored calls and emails and didn't invite me to numerous tournaments that I would usually be invited to based on my rating. This shows that before any incident with the hotel, they had made up their mind about blacklisting me, and this is their only excuse. They still have provided 0 reason for their action. Okay. I think we're caught up. Yeah. This is just referring to Magnus, which you did before.